Hey everybody, welcome to Mandy's Madhouse. I'm Mandy and I'm mad. Whether that means angry or crazy, I'll leave that up to you. Tonight it's angry. I just got back from the Board of Adjustment meeting where they're supposed to decide a special use permit application for this developer. It was a complete circus and there was a bunch of clowns involved. I had evidence and they said I did not have standing because I'm not an expert in traffic analysis. You know, until tonight, I didn't know I had to be, and it wasn't just me. Okay, anybody who was on the opposing side, nobody was able to speak. Not me, not any of the property owners, and not our real estate agent, who is a professional and a established expert in property. They didn't let her speak either. So none of us had standing and could give our evidence. And up until tonight, what I have that talked about anybody opposing, and this is from the Orange County, North Carolina Unified Development Ordinance, Article 2, Section 2.7.7 and subset G. Those opposing approval of the application on the grounds that the use will not promote the public health, safety, and general welfare shall have the burden of establishing by competent material and substantial evidence the specific manner in which the proposed use does not satisfy the requirements for approval of the application for special use. That does not say anything about having to be an expert at anything, and that's all we had until tonight. And then they came up with all these other provisions and things anyway that knocked us all out of giving evidence. Well, what they can't do is stop me from putting my evidence on YouTube. I'm going to do that. What you're going to see is a bunch of different videos that I have done over the last several weeks. So if you see me and I'm in different clothes or, different background, it's just because it's video that I have put together and collected over the last few weeks to prove what they said, that this development does not promote public health, safety, and general welfare. So that's what you're fixing to see. I know this is just to show the traffic flow in and out, and maybe it's just an aesthetic thing that doesn't need to be correct. So if you look at Google Maps, you look at Google Earth, Apple Maps, any of the maps, they're going to show that intersection or those roads, 70 alternate and Lawrence Road, make a triangle. And I found this US 70 multimodal corridor study that has a dozen maps with this intersection that all depict this intersection correctly as a triangle. Even the maps that are not to scale, that are just to show the intersections, still depict a triangle. You can see that over and over again, repeatedly, they use this quadrilateral shape to depict the intersection of 70 and 70. I took one of their diagrams and adapted it on Microsoft Word, correctly depicting the intersection as a triangle, just to prove that it could be done. So here you can see the actual satellite view of the area. Here's my fourth grader's interpretation of the area. Here's my adaptation using Microsoft Word. Here's a version of pretty much every other published map. And then here's their depiction of the exact same area. It just shows that accuracy was not a priority, the traffic analysis. Another thing that makes me question whether or not anybody was really there doing an analysis. I'm looking at page 23. I'm reading straight from this report. As observed in the data collection, very little pedestrian or bicycle activity was documented. That's not accurate. There's a lot of bike activity. A bike club that uses Lawrence Road whenever the weather is nice. I guess it depends on what your idea of significant bike activity is. In a traffic impact study, the analysis area should include all the streets where site-generated traffic will increase the movement of vehicles through an intersection. This particular TIA failed to do that. This one only analyzed a few intersections, one being the intersection of 70 and 70 alternate, 70 and Lawrence Road, 70 alternate and Lawrence Road, 70 alternate and 86. Then it also analyzed the 2 proposed driveways to the site that do not exist yet. I decided to see what direction somebody would have to be coming from to actually go through the 86 and 70 alternate intersection. So I started with counties, and Orange County is surrounded by Caswell to the north, Person County to the north, Durham to the east, Alamance to the west, and Chatham County to the south. And do you want to guess how many, if you put in directions from just the county, how many take you through the 86, 70 alternate intersections? None. None from any of those counties. Chatham County and Alamance County both take you through 86 and number 10. So there's 2 whole counties that if you put in directions to the site are going to go through these intersections that weren't analyzed. So then I decided to kind of shrink it in some, and I just picked an entity. I picked colleges, and I did Piedmont Community College, which is to the north, Elon University, which is to the west, Duke University, and North Carolina Central University, which are both to the east, and UNC at Chapel Hill, which is to the south. None of those entities took anybody through the intersection of 86 and 70, alternate 70, on their maps. Apple Maps, Google Maps, MapQuest, none of those took you through that 86, 70 alternate intersection. But Elon and UNC both took you through 86 and number 10. And interestingly enough, Duke had an alternate route, and that actually took you down number 10 from the east. So even one of the alternate routes from Duke brings you down number 10, but none of them take you through 86 and 70 alternate. So next I did different cities surrounding Orange County, and I made sure I made a complete circle. So I got cities to the north, to the south, to the east and the west, and areas in between. Out of the 15 cities that I requested directions from on Google Maps, none of them brought me through 86 and 70 alternate. Out of the 15 cities, 7 of them, so almost half of them, took you through 86 and number 10. It's also important to note that if you are trying to get to this site from 2 of the 3 largest cities in North Carolina, directions given by a global positioning system from either Charlotte or Greensboro will navigate users through the intersection of Highway 86 and NC 10, which directly corresponds with the use of the intersection of NC 10 and Lawrence Road. But again, these are intersections they decided not to analyze. So what I found is that none of the GPS coordinates, which is what everybody uses these days to find anything, will take you through 86 and 70 to get to this planned site unless you are directly on Churton Street in Hillsborough. And even then, it's kind of a hit or miss. Because like Steve's, which is on the farthest north end of Churton Street, that takes you down 70. Weaver Street will take you down the 70 alternate and take you through that 86 intersection. Truist Bank, their direction takes you out to 85, which puts you on 86, and then you go down number 10. But across the street where the current HYAA ball fields are, that will take you down Churton to 70 alternate and crossing you through the 86 intersection. So unless you are right dead center of Hillsborough, your GPS is not even going to take you through that intersection that they analyzed. But probably 50% of people's GPS, if you're coming from the south or from the west, those GPS are going to take everybody right through 86 to number 10, and then from 10 to Lawrence Road. But these are the roads and the intersections they chose not to analyze. So let's measure the distance from the site to these intersections. We're going to start with the intersection they did analyze, the intersection of 86 and 70 alternate. And that's 7,239 feet. So we will go back and measure to these intersections that they didn't analyze. So going down Lawrence Road to number 10, 3,047 feet. So that's half the distance, less than half. And we're going down number 10 and up at 86. That's 6,270 feet. So that's more than 1,000 feet closer than the 86-70 alternate intersection. But they did not analyze these intersections. In regards to the Lawrence Road project, the analysis of 86 and 70 alternate intersection was completely unwarranted. It dead ends to the north. The east goes to Churton Street in downtown Hillsborough. The west takes you back to the project site. The immediate south has several specialty businesses, but nothing that contributes copious amounts of vehicle traffic. If you continue traveling south and cross over 85, you end up at Hampton Point, which is the largest shopping precinct in the area. This center incorporates big box stores, multiple popular chain restaurants, and many other businesses to create the largest commercial retail hub in the immediate region. Continuing on 86 South will bring you to the Waterstone community, where the Orange County campuses of both UNC Hospital and Durham Tech Community College are located. It's also noteworthy that in a scenario where someone is using a global positioning unit to find the site, and their trip originates from either the west, like Burlington or Mebane, or from the south, like Chapel Hill or Carborough, then their GPS unit is going to take them right through the intersection of 86 and NC10. This intersection of 86 and NC10 is already significantly utilized in the service of a hospital and major shopping complex. It is in position to be the subject of the influx of traffic predicted to be generated by the Lawrence Road project. Despite that fact, it was excluded from any analysis in the TIA for the development. Instead, the intersection of 86 and 70 alternate was counted, having no mass traffic inducing businesses and only being traversed regularly by local citizens. This intersection is non-essential and irrelevant to the Lawrence Road development in comparison to other more important crossroads. What's missing from any analysis are all the residential streets that are going to be affected by a large sports complex like what they're proposing here. So they didn't analyze Washington or Jefferson, Lanny, Ryan Road, Wingate. Start the tour on Jefferson Drive. You can see there's a hill. And then it's a weird angle. Here's a satellite view. You can tell that's not a T intersection. It's more like a warped Y that makes your line of sight even less. It's looking south toward number 10 and the I-85 bridge. There's a hill there. Looking north, that one's okay. Now we're at Lanny Drive in Lawrence Road. You have to excuse my dog's head. So that's looking south. You cannot see. Looking north, it's not too bad. I'm pulling up. I'm right at the line. The hood of my car is right at the line. You're looking south, you cannot see. That's a very dangerous spot. You have about 7 seconds from the time you see a car and the time it is at your car looking south. And I'm pulling up, I'm even a little bit past the line at this point, and that's as far as you can see to the south from this intersection. Now we're on Washington Drive, and you can tell there's an incline on that intersection as well. That's the site straight across, or the proposed site. And that's looking north toward 70. That's south toward number 10, and it's good to know that that's where they're planning to put the turn lane. Is going to be right there, ending right before Washington Drive. So you'll have to imagine that intersection with a left turn lane right there at the south part of it. There's a hill there you can't see. Now we're on Wingate. We're facing north, so there's going to be southbound traffic coming around that curve. And we're facing south toward number 10, so that's northbound traffic. So this is Ryan Road, facing south at northbound traffic. Coming around the curve again, and now there's another curve. Southbound traffic. You only have a few seconds from the time you actually first see a vehicle till the vehicle is at your intersection. So here we have the D.O.T. Traffic Impact Analysis Submittal Checklist, and they have some pre-checked conditions here that assuming they want people to abide by, and this TIA does not meet requirements. First one that I see, level of service D or better is expected at all study intersections after proposed mitigations, but they admit that the intersection of US 70 alternate at Lawrence Road currently operates at a level of service F in the AM peak hours and a level of service D in the PM peak hours in the existing traffic conditions. So it's not D or better. And then upon build out of the proposed development, the intersection is expected to operate at a level of service F in both peak hours. There's no mitigations for that. Kinley Horns suggests a light, but also admit that a traffic signal is not anticipated to be installed with this development. And this intersection does not operate at the standards that even the NCDOT wants to operate. This next to the last one, the study has identified all known deficiencies with and without the proposed development. No, because they didn't analyze Lawrence Road and NC10, and they didn't analyze 86 and NC10. So you can't identify deficiencies if you don't analyze the intersections. And the same thing with this last one. The study has identified mitigation measures to adequately accommodate the site trips. You can't do that if you don't analyze the intersections, the ones that matter. So no, this doesn't even meet the DOT requirement. And if you read this, Now, while a signal has been identified as a potential improvement at this location, recently NCDOT has identified that the all-way stop is expected to continue to provide for safe operations. To meet Orange County UDO requirements, a traffic signal is shown in the build improved scenarios. However, it is not anticipated to be installed with this development. So they drew a picture of the stoplight mitigating measure to improve this, knowing darn well that the NCDOT has no plans to put it there. Looks like this doesn't even really comply with Orange County's UDO, and they got this fake stoplight drawn in here. And they even say it here, traffic signal to meet UDO requirements. But up here, it says it is not anticipated to be installed. How does this meet UDO if it's just fake? Starting with this biological inventory report. My first complaint is that it reads like they documented the flora, the plants, and then after that pretty much just speculated on what kind of animals might be here, because it keeps referring to these community types. So it like animal species that show increased use of these community types include, if it lists stuff, but it doesn't say whether or not these things are really there. It talks about a tricolored bat that is a federally protected species. It's under the Endangered Species Act. It was proposed to be put on the list in 22, so I guess it's a process. And it says if tree clearing activities occur prior to the species' official listing, then no restrictions on tree clearing will be required. I'm taking that as a suggestion to go ahead and cut down the trees before the tricolored bat is listed as endangered, so there's no restrictions. Humans are horrible. Here's a paragraph about the wildlife. It says animal species that show increased use of these community types include, but are not limited to, and then it lists a bunch of things. Well, 10 of these birds that are on here are also listed on the Migratory Bird Treaty Act of 1918. So they're not endangered, but they are protected under this treaty. I guess we're just going to say, screw you, Canada. If you want your migratory birds protected, don't send them to Orange County. We can't see.
This is so dark.
I know. Are you filming?
Yeah, I'm filming.
Okay. Just film whatever light you can.
Hey!
I'm not filming anymore.
Alright. Switch around.
Switch around.
Here, follow the car.
Here, follow the car. Keep going. There's nothing.
Just like that.
Yeah. Just like, okay, I can tell we're fixing to run into a bush. I think we're still fixing to run into a bush.
Just 1/2 of a mile away is another sports facility that is in harmony with the community. The Okinichi Golf Course is a sports center that knows how to blend in with its surrounding community. The clubhouse is in compliance with the R1 zoning and is not an intrusive eyesore. Even on its busiest days, it is quiet and peaceful. Also, it is wildlife friendly. When the sun goes down, the golf course is dark. It is not filled with artificial illumination that causes light pollution that fades out the elements of the beautiful night sky. This is the look and sound of a sports facility that is correctly in harmony with the area and its surrounding community. To explain a little history, this project started out as a rezoning application. A vote of 7-3 against it from the Planning Board, followed by a vote of 6-0 against it from the Board of County Commissioners. The application was denied. If you'll notice, there are 7 commissioners, but one was not allowed to vote due to a conflict of interest. Then the plan was slightly reworked and is now a special use permit application. In Orange County, a special use permit is approved or denied by the Board of Adjustments. This is a 7-member volunteer board, however, only 5 members can vote on an application. For this demonstration, we'll temporarily remove the Board of County Commissioners and extract out the Planning Board with the exception of 2 of the 3 yes votes. We're keeping those 2 members because they somehow ended up on the Board of Adjustments, who again have the final decision on special use permits. Now let's look at the web of relationships that connect the applicant to the Board of Adjustments. The first hearing was scheduled on October 18, 2023. In addition to the 2 members who had already voted yes on this development in their positions of planning board members during the failed rezoning attempt, disclosures given at the meeting include 1 member admitting to having a direct association with the developer. The applicant/developer is being represented by a lawyer. The chair member of the Board of Adjustments admitted to having a personal and business relationship with this paid attorney. Next, we will bring back the Orange County Board of Commissioners because they are the ones who appoint the volunteers on the Board of Adjustments. Remember the 1 commissioner that was not allowed to vote during the rezoning application? He was not allowed to vote due to the fact that he is employed by, and therefore makes money from, the developer. So, even though he could not vote during the rezoning application, as a member of the Board of Commissioners he was allowed to influence who was appointed to the Board of Adjustments, who in turn have the final decision in the approval or denial of the special use permit. Also, we have the Hillsborough Youth Athletic Association, through their treasurer representative who wants to put ball fields on this site should the special use permit be approved. Interestingly, there are newspaper articles from December 2020 that reference land being donated to the association in Patriots Park in Eflin specifically for new ball fields. However, it appears the HYA lost interest in Patriots Park around the same time Jim Parker originated Lawrence Road Properties and bought this site. Suddenly, the Hillsborough Youth Athletic Association prefers to use their money and purchase land for their ball fields on this site instead of accepting the donated land in Efland. According to his LinkedIn profile, the Hillsborough Youth Athletic Association representative is a direct colleague with this developer. Speaking of LinkedIn profiles, this developer lists North Carolina Department of Transportation on his biography and previous experience. Additionally, there are recommendations from several of his colleagues at the North Carolina Department of Transportation. They sure do show him a lot of love on LinkedIn. Clearly, the applicant in the North Carolina Department of Transportation are very friendly.
Okay, to be fair, I will say that the county attorney did dismiss this one lady who had the direct relationship. So she was not on the board when it went to vote. All the other aspects remain true, though. And that's all I have. I want to thank you for your attention. I never ask this, but if you could share this video, I would like for it to get around. So good night, guys. Thank you.